It's time for Lefties Losing It, and we've got some weapon-grade Trump derangement syndrome antics coming up for you. But let's start in the UK, where saying just about anything against the leftist orthodoxy will see the police at your door. It may get you charged. They're jailing people for spicy, inflammatory tweets. Lucy Connolly is serving 31 months for a couple of anti-immigration posts. That's longer than some grooming gang members have received as far as prison terms. Talk about a two-tier justice system, which all brings me to Glastonbury and the orgy of hate and hysteria celebrated by a massive crowd of lefty simpletons. Here is some rapper and anti-British, anti-West Islamist supporting miscreant, part of a duo called Bob Villain. And watch as this rapper mocks Brits who want their country back.
Heard you want your country back. Shut the up. Heard you want your country back. You can't have that. The only place I know, stolen right under my nose, my ignorant scum, trying to lay claim to a land that ain't theirs.
And watch the crowd, a sea of pasty white, self-loading Brits cheering against their own country.
Heard you want your country back. You can't have that. Heard you want your country back. Shut the up.
And that same idiot crowd were happy to join in with genocidal chants about killing Israelis and ending the only Jewish state.
Free, free. Free, free. Hey, but have you heard this one though? Death, death to the IDF. 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 Hell yeah, from the river to the sea, Palestine must be, will be, inshallah.
And here are more privileged, almost uniformly white lefty misfits who have paid a lot of money to be a part of whatever this is. And if that wasn't bad enough, the crowd were treated to far-left loon and former Labor Party leader Jeremy Corbyn banging on about Donald Trump and building bridges, not walls. But isn't there a massive wall, a massive fence around the music festival to ensure only those with a valid ticket are allowed to enter to hear crap like this?
If you can see that far, look on the wall right over there that surrounds this wonderful festival. And there's a message on that wall for President Donald Trump. And you know what it says? Build bridges, not walls.
But they built a wall around the festival. They didn't build a bridge to allow anybody who wants to come. They built a fence to keep people out. Now, here is ageing DJ Slim Shady serving up dangerous levels of cringe. The bald little eunuch had a big screen featuring Donald Trump, and he and his sad little audience were giving the president the finger. I don't know if the Trump administration can recover from this. Now, here is a socialist proving yet again that the left is all about projection and really they operate without shame. Here is Bernie Sanders accusing the Republicans of being extremist and Stalinist.
The Republican Party has not just become a right-wing extremist party. In many cases, it's become like a Stalinist party, a cult of the individual.
I got to tell you, the chutzpah is off the charts with that dude. But here is Bernie Sanders getting an education. He went on the Joe Rogan show. Now, remember, Joe Rogan used to love Bernie, used to back him. But now I think he's seeing him clearly for the leftist clown that he is.
Was the poll incorrect?
Yeah, the poll was wrong. So what?
What about the conversation that they had with Kamala Harris where they edited the answers that she had?
60 Minutes has a sterling reputation for investigative journalism.
That's not investigative journalism if you change someone's answers.
Right.
If you ask her a question and she comes with a rambling answer that doesn't make sense and you edit that out.
Suing media has the impact of intimidating media.
No, but it's not that. It's deceptive editing.
I don't know.
You give people a different perception of who this candidate is than reality.
Right.
But that's not objective journalism.
I know.
Would you agree with that?
I don't know that I agree with your analysis of it.
I think that's universally accepted that that's what they
then
did.
the impact is clearly intimidation. He wants to defund public broadcasting. Why is that? Because they also would run critical stories of him.
They say things that are defamatory and factually incorrect. What other course does a person have other than a lawsuit?
And Joe Rogan also schooled Bernie, the socialist with 3 houses, the climate change warrior who takes private jets around the country. Joe schooled him on global warming.
You got to deal with this climate change issue. And I know that, there are some people who think climate change is a hoax. It ain't a hoax. I think the last 10 years have been the warmest on record.
First of all, the reality is that the Earth's temperature has never been static, right? We could both agree on that. It's always been up and down. There's been ice ages and heat waves. And then the Washington Post looked at it. What was the time period that they looked at? That essentially they found that we're in a cooling period. That the Earth over the past X amount of years, and this was like a very inconvenient discovery, but they had to report the data, and kudos to them for doing that. Scientists have captured the Earth's climate change over the last 485 million years. Here's a surprising place we stand now. So look at the far end of that graph, and you see we're in a cooling period.
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't read that article, but
Yeah.
the scientists who are out there, I think.
I know, but there's a lot of money involved in that too, Bernie. That's part of the problem. There's a lot of money involved in this whole climate change emergency issue, and there's a lot of control, and that's a big part of this problem.
Now here is thoroughly confused doom goblin Greta Thunberg, this time in Budapest in a keffiyeh marching for pride and misusing the word fascist.
Today I am joining thousands of people in Budapest in Hungary who are defying Viktor Orbán's desperate attempt to ban the Pride March. Pride is both a protest but also a celebration of love and who we are. This is yet another fascist attack on human rights, but you cannot ban love.
Yeah, why don't you try that in a Muslim country, Greta? How about you try it, I don't know, in Gaza or even the West Bank? You're not going to get far.